Hey there, saltwater anglers, and welcome to the Lower Chesapeake Bay Fishing Report. It's your local report, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. This podcast is part of the Great Days Outdoors Network, and each week we're talking with local experts to learn ways we can become better anglers in our pursuits offshore, nearshore, and inshore. And to help keep this amazing fishery healthy and thriving for generations to come, let's remember to protect what we pursue. It's springtime, waters are warming up, and fish are on the move. So let's hear who's making this show possible and then find out what's been biting. Check it out. AFTCO has a gift for our listeners. They're now offering a camo sunglasses cleaner cloth with any purchase of AFTCO products. Whether I'm walking the dock or the deck, I love my AFTCO fishing boots. You cannot beat the comfort. And as temps warm up, the Samurai Sun Shirt will keep you cool and protected. To get your coupon code, just text LCBFR to 779-345-2918. You'll get subscribed to our email list, and we'll send you the promo code via email.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Black Buffalo products are intended for adults age 21 and older who are consumers of nicotine or tobacco.
If you're 21 or older and use nicotine or tobacco, it's time you charge ahead to Black Buffalo, America's only credible smokeless tobacco alternative. Black Buffalo dips just like the real thing, but without the tobacco leaf or stem. Get it now at Wawa, Circle K, Sheetz, Love's, Pilot, Racetrack, and many more that you can see on their store locator at blackbuffalo.com. Black Buffalo Tobacco Alternative is everything you love about dip, nothing you don't. All right, guys, welcome to this special segment. This segment's going to be interesting because this is someone that I've known for a little while. It's a household name. You guys have all heard it. Capps Boatworks here in Virginia Beach. I've known Connor Capps and his father, Nelva Capps, for over 10 years now, I think, since we did a couple projects together. But finally get to have them on the show and learn a little history of Capps and talk about their different service lines and capabilities. So welcome to the show, Connor. How are we doing tonight?
Thanks for having me, man. Kind of flattered you called us a household name.
Oh, you are. You can't drive over the Great Neck Bridge and miss you guys. So, yeah, man, I guess I'd love to start out by just getting a little history on like you and your dad. Like, when did you guys get established as Capps Boatworks, and when did you start in the business?
So my dad grew up in Hatteras, and he was a commercial fisherman. Like he made it for guys starting when he's, I don't know, probably 10 or 12 or something. And then it'd honestly be great if you could have him on here because I'd like for it to be documented, the whole story, because I've heard it many times and I just don't recall it that well. But commercial fisherman for a long time, saved up, got himself his own trawl boat. I mean, he was real successful. The guys wanted to fish with him, and he was really, really hungry. And I mean, they got paid well doing it, like you could back then.
Mm.
And this maybe is what got him into trouble. I was thinking about this the other day, but it kind of just shows his attitude, I guess. So there'd be a hurricane coming, and he would take his boat out, and because they would pack like 14 days
Holy
worth of
cow.
gear and ice and everything else, and they would stay out because that's how long their trips normally were. But there'd be a hurricane coming, and that he would know that everyone is going to be laid to the dock and stuck, and there'll be nobody selling any meat, and he'll be the only one. So he would go out, wait out the storm, kill all he
Oh my
wanted,
gosh.
and then ride back on the tail end of this hurricane, and he'd be the only one with anything to sell when the price is as good as it could be, and he'd make a killing.
That's insane. So he was a true salty dog.
Oh yeah, but he doesn't really talk about
Right.
himself. But it'd be great to. I wish you could get him to, or I wish someone could write it all down, and it probably ought
Yeah,
to
we got
be
to get
me.
it.
But you just pick up little bits
Yeah.
here and there,
That's crazy.
and I need to be jotting them down because I've heard them all so many times. I ought to know, but
So he knows what it's like. He knows what a boat can take being out in conditions like that.
yeah, and he saved up until he bought his own trawler. I think it was a 74 footer. Um, but he had guys working for him. Like I think he was a captain when he was maybe 20, something like that, with maybe that many guys
Wow.
working for him. But he saved up until he could get his own trawler. It was called the Coral Breeze. And I don't think he had it but a few months before he was coming in. And this is where I think there's a little bit of connection with the way he fished. Because he's coming in Oregon Inlet and he calls the Coast Guard and it's a bad storm. And he asks how much water they have. And they confirm it's enough depth for him to come in. And he comes in and this brand new trawl boat, or brand new to him. I don't know if I bet it wasn't a brand new boat, but runs aground. They're stuck, and it's getting picked up by the waves and getting slammed on the bottom until they start seeing the keel coming up through the deck. And the Coast Guard cannot come get them because they won't come to you in a helicopter to pick you up unless the wind is below
Oh
50
no.
knots. So that's how bad it was blowing. And it kind of makes me wonder. I didn't put this together until I was thinking about this the other day. He goes out, dodges a hurricane to catch a bunch of fish. Is this the same
Yeah.
kind of thing? Is that same style of fishing what got you into trouble? And
Wow.
I would like to think not because he's smart, but I don't. It was in the early 80s. It sank New Year's night, 81, 82. And so he goes back to work for Bobby Scarborough. He's running the boat for him again.
Oh, so wait, so that trawler sunk that night, so the Coast Guard couldn't get to him.
Yes, sir. They so it calmed down. The wind got to like 49 or whatever. It was whenever it was steadily not over 50, they came and got everybody. He's the last one off, and the boat's gone.
Jeez, that's insane.
And everybody's like, file bankruptcy. And because he had like $12 to his name at the time, and he didn't. And I don't know how quickly he went right back to work, but that's when the boat building
Wow.
began.
What a story.
Because I know, let's see, this boat here, I don't know if I'm holding this
Hmm.
laptop very well. That is the
Hmm.
Always, and that's my brother and I on it. I should probably stand up, and that's
Wow.
him. But he built that boat right after that thing sunk. So he probably started in the winter of 81 and finished, I think it was June of that year. Oh, you know what? Maybe, okay, it was New Year's night, 81, 82. So this was in 1982 that he
Wow.
built that. And we still have it. We just repainted it a few years ago. But that was the first one he ever built. And that's kind of where the
That's
beginning was.
amazing.
But then he goes back to work and ended up running a private boat for somebody. And I don't know when he got out of fishing exactly, but I know that Bobby Scarborough told him that that coral breeze sinking was the best thing that ever happened
No
to him
doubt.
because it got him out of fishing and got him up here and started the business and everything he
That's
has today.
amazing. And so your dad has this incredible, time on the water, being a captain in his early 20s. I'm sure he was on boats even younger than that. And then having these insane experiences
Right.
offshore and these hurricanes and like nobody knows what a boat is made of like your dad does, having sunk a boat, a 74-foot trawler, been in these
Right.
hurricanes. So he's got all that knowledge, right? And then he starts building boats. And then you come along, what? 15 years into his boat building career, you come to the planet Earth, in the,
Oh,
the mid 90s. Uh,
oh, when
yeah,
I'm born. Yeah.
and so how old
Okay.
were you when you actually started going and checking out what your dad was doing at the shop?
I got a tiny, like I'm five
Okay,
years old around the
so you
shop here.
started real young and got exposed.
I was around it a lot. And, there's pictures of me teeny tiny steering the boat. And like, it's always been a part of our lives. Like I remember being I don't know, maybe I was three and we're taking naps on that boat. Like we've always been doing that, but I guess when I got into it was I was 12. He built a shed in the backyard where they live now, and we built a 17-foot skiff back there. Me and my dad and my brother. And I guess that's probably where it began. So I'm probably 13 when we finished the boat, and that was the time I started going to
What
work
would
here.
you say in your experience building that boat in the shed with your dad? Because obviously, like you're running Caps Boatworks now, and this is your business and passion. But like, what would you say? Describe to me like the moment where you were like, "Holy cow! Like I love doing this."
I don't know if I could define a moment, but you know how when you're a kid, everybody, you think your dad's a
Right.
superhero. I mean, and I'm not saying he's not, but I, I, when I was a kid, I got made fun of because I was constantly wearing Caps Boworks t-shirts, like in elementary school, because I thought it was the coolest thing in the world, and I wanted to work here, and I wanted to build boats, and I don't know that there's an exact moment, as it probably happened before I could even recall, but I don't know, just being around them, being on them, getting going like a sea trial on something like a brand new whatever that he just built from scratch, like to me, it's like superhero esque when you're
Yeah.
a kid,
It's like, hey,
stuff like that. I mean, I still think it's
oh yeah.
badass, but
I mean, to have a dad that builds
yeah,
things and creates things, and I think that one of the things I admire about it is that it's something that goes so far beyond yourself. When you build a boat for somebody else, now that is somebody else who's making those core memories with their family and their children and their friends. So it's like every time you
right,
create another boat or you repair a boat or you fix a critical issue on a boat, you're putting it back out into the world for those people to enjoy and make memories with. And so it's kind of this like really neat butterfly effect thing that you guys are a part of that I think is super cool.
Right.
I'd also be curious to know what were some of the core values of workmanship or craftsmanship that you pulled and learned from your dad from working alongside of him for all those years?
Well, it was always we're doing it right, and there's no two ways about it. We're not cutting any corners. I mean, he was always very particular about everything when we were growing up, and we did a lot of chores, and they always had to be done right. And like you're cleaning the cars every weekend, and everything's got to look right. And when it come to work here, it's no different. Working on the skiff when we were building that, no different. It's like it's just got to be dialed in, and there's no two
Mm.
ways about it. And now he was the most particular person that most people that know him know. Like he tells my mom now that I'm more particular than he is, like on this stuff. So it was drilled into me so bad that I'm like, but it's good because that's what makes the quality what it's
I
meant
can
to do.
attest to that as a friend of yours as well as a client, for two different projects over the years and many projects that I brought to you for friends of mine. It's like one of the things that it's like I don't even have to think or ask. Like when I go deal with other trades and other, maybe it's a plumbing issue or an electrical issue, it's like um, or get a fence built or something. Like you'll go behind the workmanship and like you'll find the nails on the ground. You'll notice the thing that was split because somebody didn't drill first, whatever. Like that's never even been a thought that crosses my mind whenever I've worked with you guys because it's like you'll see around the corners that I can't even see around myself. And I think about my big transom rebuild project. I remember your dad coming down to my boat and looking it all over and telling me things that I needed to be prepared to think about to do in the project that was way more than I originally thought I was going to want to spend. But man, when it was done, and here we are now, it's been 10 years since that project was done in 2016, and the boat performs perfectly, and the transom is rock freaking solid. And it's like all those little things that he knew to point out for me to pay attention to and do. And he'd probably be most proud to say that the one thing I did fight him on that he eventually just told me to basically shut up and just do it was the boot stripe. But now I'm like, when I look at my boat, I'm like,
Oh
how could I
yeah,
have ever not put a boot stripe on the boat? Like, what
uh,
would I have been thinking?
he would kind of do that. If somebody wants something and it's not, I mean, he steered a little harder than I would, but he would kind of tell you what
Yeah,
you wanted.
yeah, exactly.
Like you think you know what you want, he'll tell you what you want, what you
It
really
was
want.
like something about like I was being like, a little penny shy, and he goes, "Look, we're just gonna put the boot stripe on it." I was like, "Okay." And then when I came out and saw it, I was like, "Yeah, I can't believe I wasn't gonna
You
spend a
gotta
few
have it.
$100 for that because gosh darn, it looks so sharp." But
Yeah, every boat needs
yeah,
one, I think. Needs a straight water line and a
for sure.
stripe.
So tell us where exactly are you guys located, and what tell us about your facility. What all do you guys have on site at your facility?
So we're between the two Great Neck bridges, the North Great Neck, the big one, and the West Great Neck. We're straight across the street from Inlet Fitness and next door to the Boatel, which is a way bigger metal building
Okay.
next to ours. We got 20 wet slips. I don't know how many spots for boats on the hill. I want to call out 20.
Okay.
I guess it depends on the length. Anyway, 70-ton travel lift. The hole for that's 23 feet wide. And then we got two bays inside, a 35-foot bay and a 75
Wow.
foot bay. So outside repairs, lots of bottom paint as you've seen, and then inside we'll do some repairs in there, but generally that space is used for rebuilds or custom builds or paint jobs, the more involved, detail oriented
Got it.
stuff, the longer
Right. And
term
we got to
stuff.
have some climate control and things like that. So let's go back to the 70-ton travel lift. So what is that primarily used for, and what size boat typically is like the max size boat that can fit in there?
The travel lift is the way we get the boats in and out of the water before we put them on blocks and stands for work. It'll pick up 70 tons and 22 feet wide, but I don't like to push it that hard. You probably can't fit a boat that heavy in the hole
Okay.
anyway. So I don't know, 65 feet probably is the biggest we might see around here. We've picked up a 70 before, but it ends up, and again, I don't like to
Yeah.
push it, but it ends up being a lot of boats sticking out the back and it's doesn't quite fit in the hole once you get in a certain
Wow.
length. But we're real careful. Like we replace the straps more often than we're supposed to. We got new cables on the lift. All the, I mean, it's an old machine, but it runs fine, and there's everything that needs to be maintained on it gets maintained. And I don't, like I said, I'm not picking up anything that weighs 70
No,
tons.
I wouldn't want to either.
It just makes me
Right. It's
nervous.
like I understand the
Yeah.
rating, but it's still, even like with pulling a boat behind a truck, it's like I know what the rating, of the engine and the vehicle is, but I still don't want to pull a 12,500 pound, vessel. It still just
Yeah.
makes me nervous.
Right.
Definitely don't want to go through the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel with it. I'd never thought about the maintenance on a travel lift or even like what are some of the key safety protocols that maybe people wouldn't think of top of mind? Like when you operate that machine and you bring a boat in, like what are some of the key safety protocols that you have to do every single time to ensure a safe lift?
Well, the good thing about the Travelers is it does everything slow. So nothing's happening fast, which is a really great way to avoid any kind of event. But it's really a very safe machine. There's not really like we walk the boats into it. That's slow. Really, the only danger there is like have the guys watch their steps so they don't accidentally fall into the creek. But that doesn't
Right.
really happen. It's everything's pretty safe. I would say the only danger isn't really like human danger. It's like if you were to pick the boat up in the wrong place and maybe
Hmm.
damage the boat. But we've, knock on wood, never had that problem. And that's just a matter of knowing where to
Hmm.
pick it up. And I know that wasn't really your question, but as far as safety goes, I don't really think there's much to be mindful of other than making sure everybody's in a safe location and our staff knows
Got
where
it.
to be and how to handle the
That makes
boat.
sense. And that kind of, walks us into the yard. So what are some of the typical services when you talk about a boat being on the hill? I've heard that term 100 times. I mean, I think it kind of just is what it is. It means your boat's out of the water and on stand. So like how do you transfer a boat from the travel lift onto those stands? Because every time I drive by, whether it's by car or by boat, and I see some of these
Oh,
giant
really?
boats sitting on top of the stands, I'm always like, are those things really holding up that jump?
That doesn't
Yeah,
look
it
right.
just it's
Oh,
funny,
yeah.
but I'm just curious how does the boat get from the travel lift onto those stands?
Surprised you haven't seen that when we've picked you
I
up your
know I've
boat a
never
few
been there for
times.
the actual process.
And these things all like most of the things I'm saying, like I said, I've been around it my whole life. So you're like asking me how the lift or how we even get boats on stands. I'm like, or what can the lift do? And it's like things I haven't even
Right.
had to think about
Second
because
nature.
we've just been surrounded by it forever. Basically, there's two straps. They're U-shaped, right? We'll say these are. Is this going to be a good? Looks like I'm holding a hot
Big
dog or
burrito.
something here, but
Yeah.
there's the boat will sit in the straps, right? Boat pulls in the hole. The straps are already in the water, and they'll come up, pick the boat right up, and then you set the boat down on blocks, which the number of blocks depends on the
Hmm.
length of the boat. Those blocks are, I mean, the compressive strength is more than you'll ever need for what we're doing. And then when you've got most of the weight down on the blocks, like you set up, if you got a 40 footer, maybe you set 4 or 5 sets of blocks along the
Hmm.
keel to take the weight, they level the boat, set most of the weight down on the blocks, which that's kind of a feel thing. You can see the straps start to slack. I mean, if you were to put too much down, the boat would rock. But anyway, there's a little bit of weight down, and then you set the stands up. So maybe a 40 footer, you depending on the weight of the boat, 2 or 3 pairs of stands down each side. Snug them up, let the rest of the weight down on the stands when it's level, and then you drop the straps down to the ground and you split them apart. There's a pin in the
Ah,
middle.
okay.
I got the new straps sitting right there, but I'm not going to drag them in here. But yeah, there's a pin in the middle, so they split, and then hang the straps out of the way, drive the lift
So,
down.
okay. And then when you think about like,
Is that Greek? Because I don't even know if I've made
no,
that
it makes sense. I was just
explanation.
curious, like how it worked, and now it makes perfect sense, starting in the back with the blocks and then those sets of stands along the way, and then just slowly, like you said, the key word I keep hearing over and over is like just go slow, and that is how we avoid.
Well, you can't do anything but
Right,
go slow. That lift is. I wish it moved faster sometimes because we could get a little more done. But it's good that it doesn't because it keeps things
right.
from
Keeps
happening.
everybody on a safe
Yeah.
pace. The days of heading out and blindly looking for good fishing areas are pretty much over. Don't waste time and money on fuel searching for fish. What you need are the most recent, highest resolution images to not only know where to go, but where not to go. The knowledge provided by today's technology is critical when planning an offshore fishing trip. So make the choice that captains all up and down the East Coast make and choose Hilton's Real Time Navigator. The easy to use interface and excellent customer service will have you on the fish every time you go. Check them out at hiltonsoffshore.com. the most common thing that I think folks are probably used to seeing happening over there is like your media blasting and your bottom painting. And so when you're bottom painting, how do you take care of the areas where the stands were?
Um, we pick the boat up, and when
Okay.
it's hanging, the blocks and stands are out of the way, and then we can do the work.
Got it. Okay.
So the straps and the blocks and stands don't go in the same place,
Ah, I
because
see.
the stands might be just ahead of or just behind where the blocks are. So you pick it up, and then you can do your spots. That's what we call it, your spots.
Okay. So is that kind of like the final step? You do the spots last and then she gets
Then we're
back on.
done. You might
Yeah.
have to, if it's like a virgin bottom, which would be both that's never been painted before, and you got to prime it and put a couple coats of bottom paint on it. Then you haul it up, move the blocks and stands, reblock the boat, and then do everything else, do all your spots, and then that'd be the last thing. But yeah, sometimes like in the summertime, it dries really quickly, so that yeah, it can be your last thing. The boat can go back in the water the same day.
Okay, got it. So Cap's Boatworks obviously has, like you said, a 35-foot bay, a 70-foot bay, a 70-ton lift, roughly 20 spots in the yard. Talk us through your different service lines. Like, what are some of the most common things that you guys provide when it comes to your services?
I'd say our bread and butter, like what we do the most of, is the bottom paint. So most of the boats that we do here come in, hang them in the slings, pressure wash them. If they need additional sanding or scraping, we do that, get the surface perfectly clean so we can paint it. And preparation varies based on the paint, but we use soft paints. We use Seahawk soft paints, which if you're running the boat regularly, like once a week, once every other week, like and by running I mean getting the boat on plane, making
Hmm.
good speed. So the soft paint will shed its layers basically. It's an ablative.
Okay.
And that'll keep the boat clean just like that. And the upside to using these paints, which I think they're great, it's what we've been using forever. They're great for the money. You don't have to spend a ton of money to get a good bottom job. But the best thing that I like about them is that you just pressure wash them and now it's ready for another round of paint. You don't have to spend a day sanding the bottom. There's a lot less
Ah,
mess, and then it saves everybody money.
got it.
You know,
I
or it
did not
saves the
know that.
customer.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
So,
that's a huge advantage. I wouldn't put anything but an ablative on my boat because I don't want to be down under there sanding that thing out once a year. But that's our main thing.
yeah, there's nothing worse than sanding an entire boat hole. The elbow grease. I
It's
mean, I
no
think
fun.
about like waxing too. It's like that amount of time spent. You're cooked by the end of it.
Yeah, it's just isn't fun. And then like all that dust, and your whole body's blue from sanding blue bottom paint. Yeah,
So
it's
the
for the
ablative,
birds. We have to do it here and there, but it's
right,
if we can use soft paints, it's definitely my preference. It's easier on my guys. It's easier on your bill.
right.
But we do a lot of that.
I was just curious. So that's why whenever I first came to you guys with my boat back again in 2016, I think I had a different kind of bottom paint that was black. And so in order to get that first coat of Seahawk done right, we had to do the media blasting and then a proper primer and then the Seahawk. But you're right. Since then, we every time I've brought it to you, we've been able to just pressure wash it and redo a fresh coat, and we've been off to the races, and it's been perfect for
It's so
11
much
years
easier.
now. Yeah,
Yeah,
it really
and it
is.
sticks more.
And I've
Yeah,
noticed too,
you had
like,
black on there. I wanted to go dark blue because you're doing that's like part of the look. You're getting a gray hull. You're gonna
yeah.
need a dark blue boot stripe and a blue bottom for it to look right.
Exactly. Your dad knew
Put
best. I,
some
I
black on
just,
there.
I was a noob and he knew best. And I've learned something in my years. It's like when somebody who's, a little bit older than you that's been doing the thing that you're getting into for much longer than you, if they say something, just listen. You're probably going to be better
Yeah.
off. But
Instead
that
of learning
bottom,
it the hard way.
right. But that bottom paint's great too. Whenever there's like a little bit of growth in the slip, it doesn't even take hardly anything but just a light brushing and that stuff just comes right off, because it kind of like you said, it sheds that little thin layer each
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. And we can get we have a line of different paints, but I think you get AF33, which I think is great. It's what I use. It's very affordable. But you can level up from there to paints that have more copper in them that they're a little more aggressive towards underwater growth. But yeah, stuff works great.
So copper is the key for fighting
I
underwater
think so.
growth.
I'm not the chemist on it, but
Okay.
I do know that's the difference.
Okay.
And like AF33, which is our baseline, and the Q coat, which is like our next one up,
Okay.
is one
Yeah.
of them's got a whole lot more copper in it. And then they have these copper free paints that they use for aluminum, but they have some. It says they're copper free and they're for aluminum, but they have cuprous oxide in them, which is copper probably, but anyway, they say it's safe for aluminum, and they manufacture this stuff and sell it all over the country. So I'm sure they're right. I just haven't done the digging.
Got it. So we've gone through bottom paint and then take
Right.
us up onto the top side. What other kind of services do you guys provide?
So we'll do fiberglass repair, gel coat. We can do paint blends, and then in the wintertime we'll do, or more so in the wintertime, it ends up being that way because most people don't want to cough up their boat for the summer because that's when they want to be using them. But we'll do paint jobs, rebuilds. Last year we stretched the boat out. We made the boat 14 inches longer and built our bracket into it, which we build our own, which I like way better because if you build them right, you'll never have to worry about corrosion or anything. Like they add a little bit of buoyancy, but nothing likes to stick to an aluminum bracket. At some point, that paint is going to be falling off, and I can't stand that because I like things to look right.
Hmm.
So I prefer that. But that was kind of a cool job. It was old. If anybody's ever heard of James Hudson, he's from Hatteras too. My dad used to fish with him. He built the boat, and this guy in Roanoke called. He couldn't remember what it was. Said he wanted to convert from an inboard to an outboard. And he called me back. He's like, "Oh, I know what it is. It's a Hudson." I was like, "No kidding.
That's
I know
cool.
that guy. My dad used to fish with that guy, and now we got his boat in the shop." So that was kind of a cool one. But
So you
yeah,
stretched
custom
the boat
builds,
14
rebuilds.
inches.
We did.
That's
Yeah,
insane.
it's
And
cool.
and you custom built the bracket, so it wasn't an aluminum bracket.
Mm-mm.
That's awesome. So all fiberglass and wood.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we can use composites, but I just much prefer to work with wood. And it's if you do it right and you take your time and paying attention when you put it all together and you glass everything, it'll last forever. Like I was
Hmm.
telling you about that boat, the 1982.
Hmm.
No
Still.
issues. It's all wood. If you do it right, I think wood gets a bad rap because of mass production.
Yeah.
People not really being quite as mindful with the way they're putting it together.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I remember when we did my transom, looking at all the options out there. And of course, I had all my Google ideas when I came to talk to your dad, and he goes, "No, it's going to be a wooden transom, the way it was supposed to
Kind of
be."
admire that he's like that. It's like you
Yeah.
have your thoughts, and he just was so confident and also stubborn. He'll just tell you, "No, we're
Yeah.
not going to do that. That's a
Yeah.
cool idea, but no."
Thanks for your input.
Yeah,
Put it in
yeah.
the
That's
suggestion
if he's
box.
feeling polite, he'd say thank you.
Right. But he was, we're making jokes about this. He was never rude. He was always happy to explain things to me because I had a lot of questions. Because again, it's like your boat's your baby and you're handing it to somebody and you're hoping they're going to care for it in the same way, that you would if you were doing it
Right.
yourself. And um, he was very gracious to explain the process, how it was going to work, allow me to come in and see it during the process, which was really cool. Like seeing the back of your boat shaved off and down to the glass, and then seeing
Didn't
how,
stress you out when somebody cut a hole in the back of it.
it was one of those things where, and I got to give him credit for this too. He was so great with my insurance company. He knew exactly what to say, exactly how to phrase things, and it was like the quickest, easiest claim.
That
Because
was
that's
an
what,
insurance claim.
yeah, it was. I hit a oyster bed back trying to go back towards Steinhilber's, and it was one of those unmarked oyster beds during low tide, and hit it, and it warped and cracked the transom in the back. And
Oh
initially,
wow.
I thought, oh, I just need to get like these cracks repaired,
Right. You
and
just see where the damage is and don't realize how far it goes.
yeah, he looked
Yeah.
at me and he goes, "No, buddy, we're not repairing any cracks here. This is going to be a full transom redo." And I was like, "Oh my goodness." And he was like, "Good news is your insurance will probably cover it." And sure enough, it did. But yeah, he was so great at explaining everything and walking me through the process. And it is crazy to think about it that it's been almost 11, well, 10 plus years now. And
It's hard to believe.
the boat's fantastic. I've fished that thing for almost 400 hours a season since that day, and it's been absolutely perfect.
That's
I think
awesome.
there's
I'm
like
glad to hear that.
2,300 hours on the motors that I have now that I got in 2018, and then
Damn.
16, 17, and 18 on those HPDIs that I had. I put 800 hours on those, so 3,000 hours in 10 years. So that's about 300 hours a year. Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know you had HPDIs. You had those before you got
Yep.
okay. Then
Yeah,
you
they
went to
were
four strokes.
2002 200 HPDIs. I think you had the HPDI on your center
Yeah,
console.
I have a 2003 with
Yep.
2,300 hours on it or so.
They're a strong motor, strong motor. They really throw out some horsepower because I could get on plane on one motor. Twin
Yeah.
150s, not so much.
Yeah. You're
But
probably doing a little better on the fuel bill though.
there you go. That's how I
Yeah.
justified it. I was like, okay, if I own these for about 8 years, they'll basically pay for themselves in fuel savings compared to the two strokes.
That's a
But
good way to look at it.
yeah, but
We ours the way we justify it is we're paying a lot for fuel, but we only paid $1,600 for the motor. That
yeah,
works out. It's never gonna cost what it costs for a new motor.
right. Buying a used motor for, yeah, exactly. So anyway, sorry, I took us way down a rabbit hole of my history with
Oh,
your dad and my transom. But so you guys can
that's
do
all
the glass work. So if somebody has a customization they want to make or a repair that they need to make, if it has anything to do with wood or fiberglass or even a composite, you guys can do that.
absolutely. And I'm not. I just prefer working with wood, and it's light, it's strong, it can take a beating. But we use composites all the time, and most of our stuff that's not structural, we use composites there too.
Okay,
But
got it.
yeah, if you want just did a quote for somebody on building some lockers and a fish box in the back of their boat, or I just told you about stretching that one boat out.
Hmm.
We that guy I think I told you about earlier with the 28 Mako. He wanted a 24 Albemarle like what I have. So he brought us a hull that he'd already almost completely gutted. We gutted it the rest of the way. We just saved the skin of the hull, basically like the bottom and the sides, and then built our bracket into it. New stringers, bulkheads, Carlin's deck, console, everything. Wired it all
Wow,
up. But he got a new 300 Mercury on there
nice.
because he wanted to fly.
I don't blame him. So topside, anything glass wise. Obviously, there's this whole other subset of things that people do to boats, like with electronics and aluminum and all that sort of stuff. How much of those kinds of things do you guys take care of there in your shop, if any?
Well, they used to build frames and hardtops here a long time ago when they were doing a lot more boat building, which is what that there's a metal building. I don't know if you've seen it in the back corner, and
Hmm.
that's we call it the fab shop. That's what we used to fabricate in there. Actually,
Yeah.
my leaning post came out of there. It was a boat we redid. Guy wanted to throw it away and he's getting this teak bench put in that we were redoing the whole boat. So I had three rod holders welded on it by Daniel Turnipseed from
Hmm.
Neptune Welding, and
Yep.
then had it repowder coated, had the cushions rewrapped, stuck it in my boat, saved myself. But anyway, where am I going with this? You asked about aluminum. Yeah,
Fabrication.
so
Yeah.
we don't do any fabrication anymore. We always use S&S.
Hmm.
Mike does the best work. We've
Yeah.
always like big fan of what he does.
Oh yeah.
We'll build hard tops though, but no metal work. Um, what else did you just ask me about? I'm sorry.
Electronics or
So
any sort of boat
we don't do a
engine
ton of
work.
it,
Yeah.
but we do. Like if I'm doing a big job, I can do minor stuff, but like I probably wouldn't stop in the middle of the season and rewire a boat. But we're
Yeah.
redoing a 27 footer in there, and it's all 12 volts, so we're doing all that. I don't. My dad knows how to do it, but I haven't learned yet how to do anything above that.
Right.
12 volts fine with me, but like when we did the Julie doll, we subbed that out to Marlin Marine Electronics.
Hmm.
They do great work too, and then we sub out all the mechanic work as well.
Okay, got it. And so that's a good point to know too. It's like a lot of times, like I've talked to you about my buddy's boat, and how he's got, some bottom work that needs to be done. He needs a new slick bottom because he's not going to be in a slip. He's going to stay on his boat lift, and he needs his transducer replaced, right? So that's something that's going to maybe require a little bit of fiberglass work under there and this, that, and the other. And that's the sort of thing that you guys are obviously more than
Sure,
capable.
yeah, transducer's fine, through holes are fine. Well,
Hmm.
like during the season, I would just won't pick up when we're really busy or I already have some other job going on. I wouldn't pick up a big electrical job or anything. But
Yeah.
if somebody comes in, says I need this transducer hooked up, that's no problem. Things like that, bilge pump, float switch, little stuff. We'll pick up that during the season. But yeah, installing a transducer is no big deal.
Upgrade your waterfront with Killer Doc's premium dock furniture, built to last a lifetime in marine conditions. Crafted from marine grade aluminum with a protective anti corrosion coating, it's tough enough to handle the elements while providing unmatched comfort. Featuring sunbrella cushions with fast drying, removable covers, our furniture stays securely in place even in storms. Choose from cabanas, club chairs, love seats, tables, and more to create your perfect dockside retreat. Durability meets elegance at Killer Dock. Check out the full collection at killerdoc.com today. I'm looking up I think they're calling it um, it's a new, it's a new type of transducer, but it does like basically the Omni sonar. I'm brain farting on the name of it, but it's brand new. Um,
Hang on. Is it a really expensive or not really?
Not the really expensive one that goes on sport fishers. It's a transom
It's a
mount.
PS. Oh, never mind. It's a transom mount Omni?
Yeah, it's not Omni, but it's a version of Live Scope.
It's not the PS70, is it? That's not a transom mount.
No, I think
That's like
it's
a,
the LVS 34 maybe. But at any rate, I was just
they got
curious
some
if
cool
you'd
stuff.
they've got this one is supposed to be able to see. Here it is, the Garmin Live Scope Plus. It's supposed to be able to see like 200 feet down and forward. So I was just curious if you'd seen anybody. They're brand new, so it probably hasn't come into your shop yet. But once it
I
does
haven't
start coming
seen it, but
in, I'll be curious to get your thoughts on, optimal mounting position as you think about the different types of fishing people could do. But if you can imagine, it's supposed to give you basically a live view like live scope, 200 feet down and 200 feet forward. So when you think about like mounting it on the back of a boat, like where would you put it for the optimal sort of viewing position, so to speak?
putting one on your Mako?
I've thought about it, but we're going to probably put one on my buddy's Marlin, that 35 foot, and then you'd pair that basically with your traditional uh, sonar. So you have like your traditional sonar for like looking at your bottom features and that sort of thing for deep
Right.
water, wrecks, that all that jazz. But then you'd
Maybe you
use
got your
your
side scan and you got your front facing,
yep,
and then I guess the
exactly,
detail down to you.
yep.
I would
So
say you just have to figure out what the beam width is.
mhm.
There's going to be some kind of, whether it's 10 degrees or 20 or whatever it is, you figure out what that is and position accordingly. But that you could probably put, well, it just depends on the dead rise angle, I guess, and what you can get to in the boat. But I know
Right.
somebody who put a wide range up in the bow of their boat or close to the bow because they're not really using that sonar unless they're trolling,
Ah,
going real
okay.
slow. So it's further towards the front than you would normally find
Oh,
the
interesting.
transducer. 'Cause that's the
Because
only time they're using it.
they wanted to be able to kind of get more of a forward picture and pick that tuna or wahoo or whatever up
Yeah,
sooner
and
than
they had
later.
this big keel, and it had like a little bit of this was something that had a wide beam facing down. If they were close to the keel, now, like say it's 120 degrees, something like this. And if your keel's right here and you're close to it, now you've lost everything over here. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
You
Yeah,
just gotta be mindful of what's there, and then you want to be in clean water. But
got
if
it.
you're thinking about it, let me know. I'm not necessarily needing to install it, but if you want to look at it when the boat's on the hill for this bottom job coming up,
Yeah, and just
I'm
get
sure
an
we can figure
opinion
it out.
on thinking about what type of fishing we'd be doing, what the perceived like field of vision is, and then where the sort of optimal mounting position might be. Um,
And on that one, you'd probably want to go like maybe low and center. Don't want
yeah,
to be too low. I know you're on a lift. You don't want to rip the thing off. You don't want it to stick down below the center line. But
right, and hit that middle I beam. Oh, what was that noise? Oh God.
at least you're on a lift when you rip the thing out.
That's
Probably not going to
true.
sink it.
That's true. I've had all kinds of fun moments with things, breaking when you're like very glad that the lift was nearby. More recently was a bow fishing
All
trip
kinds of
where,
moments.
oh yeah, I've had a couple of them. The most recent was bow fishing, and all of a sudden I'm like, man, why aren't we getting on plane? And then we go open up the back, and the boat is completely full of water, and it was a
Oh,
exhaust port that had like compromised the seal, and it was just had been
oh,
taking on water, and we had no clue. Thankfully, we discovered it before we sank, but we were able to like find a buddy's lift nearby, hop on it, pull the plugs, and let all the water out, and then get
I
back
bet
in the
that was
water. Oh yeah, makes your heart beat.
exercising the sphincter, man. Oh,
Oh yeah,
God.
especially in the wintertime because, everything is that much more dangerous in the wintertime when that water's cold.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole
Yeah,
different thing. It's
definitely.
life or death at that point.
Yep.
Yeah, I had a
Um,
buddy. He had a live well, and I guess the hose blew off for the intake for the live well pump, and he's riding around looking for Kobe in the bay, and then he said it felt a little different, which it should, as the bilge was like full of water. It's probably not rocking nearly as much, but then he goes to get on plane and it like won't get on plane. And he looks in the bilge and it's like, so he
oh
calls me
no,
in a panic. I was like, dude, look for land, try to hit the sand.
no doubt. Holy cow.
But
Was he okay?
he was just, I don't think it was as bad. I think he was just freaking out, but he was fine. I think they just got the bucket out, did some bailing, and
Man,
I don't
that's
know. I think they figured out where the valve was. So it's important to make sure your valves work, I would say.
oh
Once in a
yeah.
while,
Oh yeah. There's
check
no doubt
your
about that.
valves on your through holes.
Yeah. So one of the
They got
things that
grease fittings on them for a reason. A lot of people don't know that
what's
because they
that?
come here, your valves,
Oh,
like your seacocks. A lot of them have grease fittings, or they should,
I did not know
to
that.
keep them operational so they don't seize up. Because a lot of
Yeah.
times they'll be here and you have to go close a seacock and it doesn't turn,
Yeah. And then you
or people will break the handles off them. So
mhm.
it's just I don't know, a little reminder.
Well, that's exactly how my other water in the boat situation happened. We were offshore and we were trying to figure something out, and we went up in the front and tried to turn off a seacock, and the whole seacock turned about, from like the 3 o'clock position to the 11 o'clock position. And next thing I know, water's coming in the boat, and it was because the seacock handle was so stiff that when we went to push it, it actually just turned the whole thing. And on the
Oh,
outside, we basically broke the set screw, and it kind of raises the question of like, do seacocks need to get replaced at some interval? And if so, what is that interval?
was there the seacock?
Yeah.
I kind of want to ask you about that screw you broke. Was it through bolted?
No, it was so like it was the type of through hole for feeding a raw water washdown. And so it's the brass opening on the outside of the boat, that goes through, and then on the inside is the washer, that spins down and then, screws down tight.
Right.
But this style had like a little teeny, maybe half-inch set screw that I think was designed to sort of hold things in place while you tighten down from the inside. And it was that little set screw that broke and broke out of the fiberglass and slid when I twisted it too hard.
It was part of the nut or was part of the through hole?
It was part of it was a screw that goes in from the outside to
Okay.
the face of that little,
So
brass.
the answer to that is yes, you do have to replace seacocks sometimes, but I imagine if you are greasing them and they don't seize up, they're probably fine for a long, long time. Usually when we replace them, it's because they're frozen and the guy can't turn it.
Ah,
But also, the pickup, like if it's a clamshell with screws in it in the bottom, there should be a through bolt at least with a bonding wire, or maybe the through hole. Sometimes the nut on the through hole will have a place for a screw, so you can have a bonding wire, or the seacock will have a place for a screw where you can have a bonding wire. So if you broke a screw, it was probably corroded and it probably wasn't bonded because all that
or
stuff needs to go back to the zinc at
ah,
some point, or electrolysis will chew it up.
right. Or to your point, it should have been a through bolt instead of a screw, probably.
Um, that really shouldn't be under any load
Okay,
typically.
got it.
So
Yeah,
I don't know that that's necessary. It's
got it.
usually most of these things will hold if the glass is thick enough or whatever the core material is thick enough once it's foam because foam won't hold a screw. But a lot of time they can just be screwed into place, but you just need to have a through bolt so you've got something on the inside of the boat to put a bonding wire to.
Well, I'll tell you what, when that boat hits the hill, I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about, and you can tell me what the appropriate
Yeah.
repair is going to be. Because I
Well,
did a repair on it just by basically like putting another larger screw in and then re 5200ing the whole thing. I just
yeah.
made that up, 5200ing. That's a word now.
You
Um,
are did not. I think someone would beat you to that around here,
I can
and probably a
only
lot of yards.
can only imagine. But when folks are preparing for a project, obviously these aren't things that just you snap your finger and they happen. So if somebody's like, "Hey, I need to get my bottom painted, or I want to redo the gel coat, or I want a boot stripe to make Nelva proud, or I've got a custom glass project,
Is that
whatever
what it
that."
takes to make your dad proud? God, if
Yeah,
only someone had told me that.
just that easy, right? What's the average sort of process, for somebody that's coming in that's got a project or annual bottom maintenance? What should we kind of be naturally preparing for and thinking about in terms of like lead time for getting a project done over there at Caps?
So I once a year I'll kind of put something on social media that's like, hey, we're booking up for, or maybe I'll even do it in January. I think I did that last year. Just an announcement to book for bottom paint because we're already booking May because
Okay.
everybody wants their boat done. It seems like all at one time. They all want them for the beginning of the season. That's when you want your boat to be ready, like April or something like that. April or May when it's warming up. So people tend to get in here early, but then if they wait till May to call, then you might be waiting 6 weeks before we can even pick the boat up.
Got it.
So I
Got
would
it.
plan ahead for that stuff. And if you haven't gotten on the books to get your bottom done, I would call right away because
Okay.
we're filling up. But then I'd say it depends on the time of year for more involved jobs. If you want to do something more involved, the sooner you call me, the better.
Okay.
Because I'd try to book my winters up as far in advance as I can just to make sure I know I've got work coming in. I keep my guys moving. It's one less thing to keep me up stressed out at night.
I hear that. I hear that for sure. And then in terms of, how to contact you guys, is there an email? What do you guys prefer? Email, phone call, visit the website?
Most things I think are going to come down to a phone call, but email is great. You can put an inquiry on our website that goes straight to our email. Phone call, but we're Debbie's in the office from 8 to 12 and 1 to 4.
Okay.
Call then. We check the voicemail every day, so if we don't get somebody, we will call you back. But most of the time, if it's not something really simple like a regular bottom job, if it's anything really more involved than that, it'll get passed to me and I'll get in touch with you over the phone is my preferred way because it's just easier just to talk about things. Might take a couple of phone calls and then I'll put together some kind of estimate for you, get back to you. Yeah,
Perfect.
I'd much rather have a talk with someone or
Yeah.
even like on the phone face to face than I would email and I don't know, any of the other stuff.
Yeah, it takes a lot of communication to land on the same page about, especially for those
Right.
more involved jobs,
Sometimes I
describing
need to
what's
make you a drawing.
yeah,
Sometimes I can't even be a phone call, but so since I did the website and I put something on social media, then we get people like DMing us on Facebook and Instagram, and it's like I don't even check those very often. So
right.
people are trying to make inquiries on there. And it's like I have to tell them, please don't try to reach me this way because
Call.
you might not, I'm going to remember I have an Instagram in a week and a half. Go, oh yeah, let me look at that.
Right, right.
And
Well,
by
the
then
number
I probably irritated a person.
what's the best number they reach you at?
757-496-0311. That's the
Perfect.
office number.
And then
And then we got a cell phone.
oh, an office
Um,
an office cell phone.
yeah,
We'll drop it. We'll
yeah.
drop it in the show notes. I'll get it from you after we get done. But
It's just if you have to send us, if there's pictures that have to go back and forth, we use it for that. But
perfect. Oh, that's good to know. That's a
it's
lot
not really
easier
the
than
best
a lot
communication
easier than
device.
email because you always hit that file attachment size issue, and that's tough. So having a cell
Oh,
phone, you can
yeah, I
text
don't even know
pictures.
what to do with that. It's like, which size do you want? It's like in megabytes. Like, I don't even, you pick. Why are you asking me? I just want them
Actually,
to see the
yeah,
picture.
I don't know actual size. I don't want to send a small picture of my boat. But jokes
The
aside,
actual size, it comes at the, yeah.
yeah,
What does
and then
that
it's
even mean? 28 feet?
yeah, it's the whole. You're gonna need a 28-foot monitor to look at this picture of my boat. What's the appropriate interval from a time perspective to redo bottom paint? That's kind of like my $1 million question. And I know there's
Like, how often
variables, but
should you be
what's the
doing it?
yeah? How often should I be doing it if I'm using the right stuff through you guys?
I would do it once a year. That's
Once a
what
year.
I do. That's what pretty much all of our customers do.
Okay,
Haul
good to
it,
know.
wash it, pressure wash it once a year. And then most people they're set up to do zincs once a year.
Hmm.
So maybe you have an electrolysis problem at your dock. That's something to look out for because once your zinc anodes are gone, your underwater metals are going to start getting chewed up. So some people need them more often than that. If they have a diver, they might have them swap them. But generally, you can do all that stuff annually. And I would
Got
just
it.
try to do it in the spring if I was you. So going into the season, you're good to go.
Got it. I do remember one time getting my bottom paint done, and I didn't even think about asking for my zincs. And I got my invoice, everything was done, and the zincs were done too. And you guys had thought about that for me, and it was just nice to see again that you're thinking about the boater when you're doing the jobs. It's not just
Right.
rinse and repeat. You're thinking about, hey, what does this boat need to be ready for the season, and
Right.
making sure that it's done. So
Yeah, it's about telling you what you want.
yeah,
We
exactly,
tend to call when we do things like that, but zincs, not usually. Pretty much everybody says, "Yeah, I need zincs. I'm not going to go without them and risk my motor crumbling or my trim tabs getting eaten up."
for
But
sure.
typically,
Um,
there's a phone call.
Yeah. So in closing, I do want to hear when you think about growing up with your dad, skiffs in the shed, wild stories with the Coast Guard and sinking 74-foot trawlers and all the different projects that you've been involved with. What would you say is, if you think about the most like enjoyable or satisfying project that you ever got to be involved with? What what pops in your head first, and tell us just a little bit about that
It's
project.
obvious. Is building the 40 footer, the Julie doll,
Okay, got it.
because, and that's actually got one of my favorite memories tied to it. But it's my dad drew it, and he's drawn all of them. There's no marine architect. There's just him and his old drawings, which have been it's been trial and error forever. And he drew this one. We made some modifications to the hull design. This is our fifth 40 footer. So the four before that, they all pretty much had the same bottom and the which we believe in, and the construction has changed, but this one has foam hull sides, which lightens it up a lot, but it's still really strong. But what was different about this compared to the other ones, just aesthetically, is we changed the line of the turn down. We just kind of stretched it out a little bit longer, which there's when you're setting up the rub rail portion, like the upper guard on a boat, the way old school builders do it, the way we do it is there's these things called stations, which support the guard. Like if you have the shear line, like if this is the stem and it turns down,
Hmm.
we basically it's supported by stations, that line. I'd love to show you pictures of all this sometime, by the way, like how we build one, which there's some stuff on our Instagram if you scroll way back, but we basically just took a station out. So this hard turn became like a stretched out, softer turn.
Oh, okay.
That
I'm
was
looking on
different.
your website and I see what you're talking about. It's just this like real gentle slope back to the back towards the transom.
Yeah. So we changed the way it looked a little bit, and then the house was different. We'd never built a house that looked just like that. And then everything's custom. It was like my dad, it was the last one that, I mean, next one we built, I'm like, we're building one for us right now, and he's in here all the time, even though he's retired, messing with it. And I'm sure when I'm building another one, he'll be there helping me set the jig up,
Yeah.
which will be, I can't wait to build another one partially just for that reason. But to me, it's right before he retires. It says I'm like kind of beginning to take the reins. Like I'm doing all the work on the project. It's my baby, but it's
Yeah.
like the coolest father son collaboration I could imagine. Like this badass boat. I mean, I love that thing, and it was the
Yeah.
first one I ever built from scratch. And what I mentioned, the favorite memory. I never built one from scratch before, except for the skiff, I guess. But I was 12. I was my dad's helper. I wasn't doing everything. But we put the thing in the water. We've marked the water. We've done everything. It's done. We got it running. It's got the stripe on it. It's got the bottom paint on it. It's like the interior wasn't totally finished. We still had to put the sofas in and a couple like rod storage, that sort of thing in there. Carpet wasn't in it, but it's pretty much a done boat. And they're like, "All right, fire it up." And I knew which switches to hit and which buttons to push. I'm like it didn't come with instructions. Did we do this right? And we
Right.
fire it up. It's the coolest thing. You're standing on the bridge and you hear it,
Woof.
do it for the first time. And my dad was up there with me, and the Caterpillar rep was there, or the Caterpillar electrician, I guess, and then the Marlin Mariner electrician and the owner of the electronics company. And my brother, who's with the Harbor Pilots, he's getting ready to finish his apprenticeship. Well, the apprenticeship's 2 years. The junior pilot program, I guess, is a 5-year thing, and he'll be done with that in September. But anyway, he's in the apprenticeship. He's got no time. We rarely see him, but I know which day I'm going to see trial the boat. I know we'll be ready. And he was on a ship at the time. This was like probably 9 in the morning on a Thursday or whatever. We started up, we're sitting there, and I knew there was a chance he might be able to make it. And he's rarely available. You ask him on his birthday or any holiday, "Hey, we're going to see you today." He doesn't even know the answer. But we
Yeah.
felt like there was a chance. So he told me he thought he could make it, and I just held the boat at the dock there until I saw his truck pull in. I
Oh,
was like, "Let's go!" And he ran from the parking lot to the boat,
dude.
hops on, we untie, kick off. It was like I'm borderline getting teary thinking about it right now. But yeah, it's
It's
like
a
me and my dad and my brother. And
yeah.
there's I don't know if you probably don't know Ron. He's a crabber. He keeps his boat here. He happened to be out there in Broad Bay, so and that's the first time this boat's ever run. He takes a video of it running by, and my dad, brother, and I are all on the bridge.
Dude.
So that's like probably one of my favorite memories. Might be my favorite memory that I have.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like something that like you is part of like a really epic movie or something, but it's like all those pieces coming together, this thing that you're creating with your dad from scratch. I think that's the really wild thing is to like be on a floating, completely capable boat and then thinking about the fact that it just started as an idea and then get to
Yeah.
experience the reality of it working with your dad and your brother. And it's like, yeah, I don't think there's a better feeling. I mean, I'm getting a little emotional thinking about it too, where it's like when you have that like top of the mountain moment, like there's nobody you want there with you but your family,
Right.
you know?
I mean,
Um,
I was like, I really hope he can be there, and I just held it because I thought he was going to make it, and then he just showed up, and I was like, that's
yeah,
yeah, it
that's
was killer.
awesome, man. That's awesome.
It was killer.
Well, dude, I have enjoyed this conversation so much, learning about, you, your dad's history. Like, I love soaking up the experiences by proxy and just kind of, again, in my mind, it all equates to like when you go to Cap's Boat Work, like you're working with a local family who is passionate about what they do, and the experience has been passed down through the generation. I loved what you said about like we just do it right. They don't cut corners and you just do it right, and it's like quality
Mhm.
takes time. It takes money. You got to invest and do it the right way. You got to get the boot straight. But when it's
Yeah.
all done, man, it's done right and you can enjoy it for years to come. And it truly becomes an investment, not just some random repair. So I've enjoyed it, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing with us what
Thank
you
you.
guys do.
Yeah, I was incredibly nervous to have a conversation. It's like I never really had to sit down and have like a pre-planned chat about anything like this. So, but I
No,
appreciate it.
it was
I
good. I
enjoyed it.
learned something. I hope our listeners learned something. And again, folks, if you got a project in mind, you've got annual bottom maintenance that you need to do, or there's a critical repair or an insurance claim that you got to take care of, go ahead and give them a call now, 757-496-0311. Check out their website, caps-boatworks.square.site, and then we'll link all the socials in that in the show notes. And we hope to talk to Connor again in the near future and keep up with what Caps is up to these days. So, Connor, thanks again, man. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Folks, that's going to wrap up this special segment this week, taking a deep dive into the history and service and capabilities of Caps Boat Works. Hope you enjoyed meeting Connor, learning a little bit about his dad, Nelva. If you go by, look for the Julie doll, that beautiful 40-footer that he was talking about there at the end. That's going to wrap up this week's show. Stick around for a quick word from our sponsors that make this great free content for you. And we'll be back with you next week. Stay warm, and hopefully we can get fishing again here soon. Turn your dock into more than just a place to park your boat with Slipski's Dorado Oasis cover. Engineered for both beauty and protection, the Dorado Oasis transforms your dock into a shaded, all-weather living space, perfect for relaxing by the water or entertaining friends. Built from marine-grade aluminum and premium fabric, it also provides year-round protection from sun, rain, and debris. Whether you're lounging dockside or keeping your boat covered and ready to go, Slipski delivers comfort, convenience, and peace of mind. Slipski, think outside the boathouse. Visit slipski.com. All right, y'all, that's going to wrap it up this week. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember, to get your free AFCO Camo Sunglasses Cleaner Cloth, text the acronym LCBFR to 779-345-2918 to get your promo code and be added to our email list so we can send you the new show each week. You guys keep on whacking them and be safe out there.